Canada's express entry system is heading into February 2026 with a clear storyline. Large Canadian experience class rounds are finally putting real downward pressure on the top end of the CRS pool, but the pace of new profiles entering the pool will decide how fast scores can fall. The most recent invitation round was the Canadian Experience Class draw on January 21, 2026. It issued 6,000 invitations to apply, with the lowest invited score at 509. Based on the operating rhythm seen since late October 2025, the most likely sequence in early February is a provincial nominee program round early in the week, followed by a Canadian Experience Class round later in the same week. Some weeks may also include a category-based draw, depending on IRCC planning. The latest clean pool snapshot used for this forecast is from January 19, 2026, when the total pool was 237,120. At that time, there were 677 candidates in the 601 to 1200 range and 16,341 candidates in the 501 to 600 range. Those top bands are the main battleground for PNP and Canadian Experience Class forecasting. The pool also showed a very large buildup in the 451 to 500 range, reflecting ongoing growth in the upper midsection. A key insight is how fast the pool refills. Even after large invitation rounds, new profiles enter quickly as candidates become eligible, improve language scores, add a month of work experience, or update spouse factors. The recent data suggests the 501 to 600 band has been shrinking overall, but not as fast as the number of invitations alone would imply, which highlights continuous inflow. A reasonable working assumption in this article is that since the last Canadian Experience Class draw issued 6,000 invitations, the net reduction in the 501 to 600 band may be closer to about 3,000 profiles, bringing that band down toward roughly 13,341 candidates. Two mechanics drive the February outlook. Canadian Experience Class draws typically pull from above the cutoff, which sits inside the 501 to 600 segment when cutoffs are around 500. Provincial nominee program draws mostly pull-nominated candidates whose scores sit in the 600-plus zone, often concentrated roughly in the 680 to 1200 range. The forecast calendar for early February expects a PNP draw around February 2 to 3, followed by a Canadian Experience Class draw around February 3 to 5. Under the base case, the predicted PNP cutoff range is about 715 to 755, with roughly 500 to 800 invitations. The predicted Canadian Experience Class cutoff range is about 503 to 507, with roughly 5,000 to 6,000 invitations. If a category-based draw appears, the most likely options based on recent activity are French language proficiency or healthcare and social services. French could land around 395 to 410 in a 6,000 invitation round, while healthcare could land around 470 to 485 in a 1,000 to 2,000 invitation round. A Canadian Experience Class cutoff below 500 is possible in February, but it is not guaranteed. It becomes more plausible if IRCC runs another large Canadian Experience Class round in early February and follows with another large round in mid-February. It becomes less likely if draw sizes fall back toward 1,000 to 2,000, or if a Canadian Experience Class round is skipped. What candidates should watch in the first week of February is simple. Falling Canadian Experience Class cutoffs are supported by another 5,000-plus round, a minimum score moving down from 509 into the mid-500s, and a short gap between rounds. The below 500 narrative weakens if Canadian Experience Class volume shrinks, if IRCC pauses Canadian Experience Class for a week, or if category rounds absorb invitation capacity. For PNP, a larger round could soften the cutoff, while a smaller round could keep it elevated. These February 2026 express entry draw dates, Formats and CRS cutoffs are estimates based on recent patterns and pool data, and IRCC can change timing, draw type, invitation counts, or minimum scores at any time without notice.